Next time I go to Andy's, I'm going to take my VNA. In fact, I might charge it up now. I've got to say the battery will be as flat as anything, and I'll get Greg some of your rides with my VNA because it's that rusty. I haven't used it for a year and a half, and I need a bit of a refresher. And they're very handy things, but you've got to know how to drive it over.
Hello again, VK3ZVX here. This will be the final in the series on the Type 78 RAF receiver. Now, when I first acquired this radio, I knew nothing about it. I sort of took pity on it and decided that it would be an interesting curiosity to try and restore and get going. What I didn't know was that it would turn out to be one of the finest radios in my collection. The performance of this radio has been truly outstanding, and by that I mean its signal-to-noise ratio is a somewhat remarkable 10 dB better than the BC348 that I have sitting in the shack. 10 dB is no small thing. This is the only radio in my World War II collection with a sub-microvolt signal-to-noise ratio of 6 dB. And that is a real credit to the designers and builders of this little receiver. Now, I'm very glad that I went to the trouble of restoring this. Not only is it a very good receiver, but it turns out that they are vanishingly rare. A bit like the Sunderland flying boats and Firefly aircraft that they were installed in. There's not many of them around anymore. And so this was quite a save, and I'm very pleased to have been involved in doing it. So, just to review what's been done. The radio itself has been cleaned out. Not a great deal of internal work was required. I was pleased to discover that it was all completely intact. A couple of broken solder joints here and there, but really nothing terribly serious. The circuitry and documentation for the radio was probably the most challenging part. Eventually I did come across the Royal Air Force designation for the system, and once I discovered that, I was able to get more details on the circuitry of the Type 78 itself, which is part of the system. So the research aspect of this has been a little bit convoluted, but I got there eventually, and I'll put some links and so on in the comments at the end of this video. I'm reasonably pleased with the outcome for the sidecar, or the cradle, whatever you want to call it. The power supply, intermediate frequency and detector audio circuits all went in the sidecar box, and that seems to have worked really quite well. As I say, the sensitivity on the radio on the 40 metre band is about 0.64 microvolts, and the only sub-microvolt radio in my World War II collection. That kind of sensitivity would not be repeated until the semiconductor era. And if anybody's got a comment they want to make about that assertion, please, by all means, comment on it. Or contradict me, as the case may be. I'm here to learn the same as everybody else is. So, I have some footage of the radio in its performance mode on the bench, and I think you'll agree that it's a big improvement of what it was. The AGC system does work after a little bit of tinkering and especially after finding the improved version of the schematic, a readable version of the schematic, made things a lot simpler. It confirmed some of my suspicions, but it also made it possible to make the necessary modifications to the detector and IF system in order to incorporate the AGC. The other thing that I mentioned in the first video was the DSIN or DSIN servo motor remote control for the tuning. Now, in the first video, I suggested that this was run on a 400 cycle per second, 12 volt AC system. In fact, that is not correct. The D-Sign servo system runs on 12 volts DC, period. Now, once I got my head around that, I was able to figure out a system in which the D-Sign system could be incorporated into the radio. That has been done, and the modifications to the circuit will also appear at the end of this video. All right. Thank you very much for taking an interest in this project. It has been fascinating and very rewarding for me personally. So if you've enjoyed this series of videos, please like, share, subscribe, all of those sorts of good things. And I look forward to seeing you on the next interesting project that I come across. Thank you very much for your attention. Cheers and 73s to you all. VK3ZVX, clear.
VERNARD in Somerset, northwest coast, Tasmania, just running 100 watts in on inverted B. You're only about applied by 4 at the moment. Okay, I'll put it back to you. This is VK7BD. VK3, I should say. Echo November India, Victor Kilo 7 Bravo Delta. Bravo Delta, Victor Kilo 3, Echo November India, my name is Harry, Hotel Alpha Romeo Yankee. In a place called Alpha, which is for the west of Melbourne City. Sorry, where was the QDH? QDH is Altona, southwest of Melbourne. Over. Oh, right, yeah, Altona, that's used to be an old industrial suburb. Yeah, you're overnight here at Oakland. I don't know what's going on here. I lost some audio level. So I've been transmitting for the last couple of weeks on a reduced audio level, and I don't know where it went to. So I was looking for a knot in the cables, but no. All right, guys. I'm going to go QRT, I think, get ready for dinner. You keep well, Tom, and Matt, if you feel inclined, we'll do some activation somewhere. And good luck down there at Churchill National Park. Don't freeze to death. VK3ARD, VK3SRC. Yeah, roger there. Got no worries there. Yeah, no, a little PC here, and it's it's round about there. Actually pushes up against my 690 radio there. And no interference, there's nothing, it's just a old TV. And yeah, I just want to get to alright for my check tomorrow morning. VK4 my check, Echo, VK2 like you do. Everybody else, God, there is. Yeah, cheers all, mate. VK2TRW, we're all complete. Yeah, cheers everyone, catching them all. VK2 like you.